This is a different video from all the others I've done before, and most likely all the other videos I'll do in the future. It's different in structure, tone, and to some extent topic, so take a deep breath. The other night, an older woman walked into the store where I work as a supervisor. I'd seen her before. She's obviously going through a very difficult time, and that may very well be her life story. It certainly is her life story right now. She came in because she had bought a phone card, paying $30 for 120 minutes. Now, for the moment, let's put aside the fact that that's a colossal ripoff of people who can't afford a regular phone plan, and just one of the many ways we charge poor people for, well, being poor. Instead, let's look at why she came into the store and the larger problem it exposes. The company had failed to put her minutes on her phone, and when she was able to reach them, they told her to go back to the store and exchange her card. The problem is, we can't do that. I don't mean we're not supposed to. I mean, we're not able to take back a card once it's been activated. She and I were able to get hold of the phone company and again, and after a while, they did put the minutes on her phone. In the meantime, she was desperately distraught, barely able to hold herself together. Even when she got the minutes, and they tripled the minutes this time to make up for the error, her relief was barely noticeable. So what's the point of this story? The woman who came into my store is suffering because she lacks the resources even to be able to relax. And instead of making things easier, so much of what we call society just piles more misery and pain on top so that others can get rich. It's a sin. We live in a country with $100 trillion in wealth. Oh, that's $300,000 for every person in the country. The fact that we haven't eradicated poverty and that this woman and so many tens of millions of others just like her, human beings, have to struggle and suffer just to make a phone call, it's a sin. And that's not the worst of it. Tens of millions of people go to bed or go to sleep wherever they can manage, hungry, cold, in pain, homeless. It's a sin. And we are, almost all of us, sinners, both collectively and as individuals, because we allow this to continue when we don't have to. We can tax not just the top 1%, but the entire top 25%. Now that's household incomes above about $120,000 a year. And if you think that $120,000 a year isn't that much, try living on half that or less, because that's what most Americans have to do. And I'm talking about taxing only the income above that level, and you're already better off than 75% of Americans anyway, so you don't get to complain. We can tax unearned income at the same rate as earned income. We can set income tax rates for those higher incomes still to be below where they were in the 70s and a lot lower where they were in the 50s when we built the greatest middle class in history, but higher than they were after Reagan and company got going. We can require all corporations that do business in the U.S. and make a profit to pay tax on that profit, regardless of where their headquarters is or where their accountants claim that the profits are made. We could raise a couple of $1 trillion a year. So what would we do with it? We could give every American a guaranteed income of $500 a month on top of anything else they're earning and all the other safety net programs, no matter what. No hoops to jump through, they just get the money. People could continue to get the food stamps, housing assistance, and other things, and get some cash on top of it. And this woman, well, for one thing, she'd be able to afford a regular phone plan, and she'd never have to worry about not getting her minutes again but getting ripped off because she has to buy a phone card. Her life and the lives of so many other Americans who suffer through every day in misery and horror, they'd be changed overnight. What's more, because of that guaranteed income, more people would have the capacity to jump through the hoops and qualify for those other safety net programs. Right now, so many people don't get the benefits because they just can't manage the red tape. Eradicating poverty should be, must be, our number one priority. Healthcare for all? Sure. With a guaranteed income, stress levels would go down. Suffering would go down. People would be happier and they'd be healthier. And that would make providing healthcare coverage to everyone a lot easier and a lot less expensive. Climate change? Sorry, maybe that's number 2, but it pales beside the horrors people face right now. Horrors we could eliminate by tackling poverty. And oh, by the way, once we eliminate poverty, it becomes a lot easier to make the changes we need to make in order to stop and even reverse climate change. Would some people decide not to work and just live off the benefits? Yeah. You know what? That's a good thing. For decades, automation has taken more and more good-paying jobs, and we may have reached the tipping point where we can't create enough new jobs to make up for the loss. In the meantime, for decades, the new jobs that have been created, they've been far worse than the ones eliminated by automation. They're more physically demanding, they pay less, they provide fewer benefits. They also require more flexible schedules that disrupt the natural rhythms of life with all the nasty side effects that causes. On one side of the political spectrum, many people will still parrot the welfare queen lie. They are, a lot of them, irredeemable sinners, and we have to ignore them. The ones who can be redeemed, they'll find their own way back. On the other side of the aisle, we just have too many politicians who are stuck in 20th century thinking, or worse, stuck in a phony version of 17th century Puritanism where jobs are the answer. They claim, too, that they're fighting for more programs. What's wrong with that claim? Well, here's a partial list. First of all, I'm fighting for is political speak for I'm not getting anything done, but you should vote for me again anyway. Number 2, these programs are very limited, extremely difficult to navigate, and insanely expensive to administer. Third, those programs, even all of them put together, they don't solve the problem. They lessen it a bit and they mitigate the effects, but that's it. Finally, almost none of those politicians are willing to disturb those Americans in the top 25% because that's their donor base. And we need to disturb that donor base if we're going to get anything done. Nearly 35 million Americans are living in poverty right now, and tens of millions more suffer because they live so close to that line. Nothing is more important than lifting those people up, giving them the chance to experience not misery but joy as their default position in life. Then we can take care of the rest. And not incidentally, it'll get a lot easier to take care of the rest when so many more people will have the resources, physical, monetary, mental, and emotional resources to manage their lives, and because their improved state will reduce so many other problems to the point where they can finally be solved. Domestic violence. How often is that a result of the stress of poverty? How about drug abuse, suicide, homelessness, crime in general? All of these problems will be much easier to deal with once we have eliminated poverty. So how do we do it? How do we stop being sinners? You have to organize. Organize your neighborhood. Organize your circles of friends. Reach out to your elected officials everywhere, federal, state, local, as well as anyone who's running for office. Insist that eliminating poverty is their number one priority, and that your representatives lead the way out of this sin. Demand that your representatives and those who want to represent you really support a plan that will actually achieve that goal. They don't like my idea? That's fine. What's theirs? If they don't have one, demand that they either support this one or very quickly come up with one of their own. Not more programs, but a real plan to eliminate poverty. Reach out to others in your neighborhood, your city, your social media world, anyone you can. Recruit them to join the crusade to eliminate poverty. Let them know that we can do it. Not being able to make a phone call isn't the worst thing in the world. It's not even the worst thing in our wealthy society. But no matter what we do, people will still suffer. Disease, accidents, the vagaries of human relationships, natural disasters, they'll never go away completely. But not having the resources or the wherewithal to make a phone call should be worse than anything we consign people to suffer through because of our sin. We must do better. Thanks for watching. Stay progressive.